Hey, what's going on, my horror head family? It's Rico, and I'm back again. If you have not already seen my previous video, I recently uploaded my ranking of every movie in the Scream franchise from least favorite all the way up to my absolute favorite movie. So if you have not seen that video already, please go ahead and watch that video. Now on this video, I'm going to be ranking my favorite openings from the Scream franchise, starting from my least favorite going all the way up to my absolute favorite. So we're just gonna jump right in. Before I do, please go ahead and thumbs up this video, comment, give me a heart or something, a smiley face or something, you know, interact with your boy. So at the bottom of my list, in 6th place, for what I think is the least favorable opening of the franchise, is the Scream 4 opening. I know that might be controversial a little bit because the movie in itself as a whole was pretty good. For me, I've always been so conflicted in a way with Scream 4 because the opening scene of every Scream movie kind of sets the pace for the rest of the movie, and I feel that because the opening of Scream 4 was kind of gimmicky, if you will, I feel like the opening in itself was a little campy. And because of that reason, once you got other campy moments later in the movie, it kind of makes the movie sometimes overall feel very campy, which I didn't like. I mean, it's Scream, so we know never to take Scream too seriously, but then again, I don't want it to feel like a parody, you know? The thing about Scream is there's a fine line between parody and satire, and I just don't want it to get too far over to the parody side of things, and unfortunately I think that's what the opening did. Because you have two fake out openings, you never really get to sit and evolve with the character. I feel like it was a gimmicky idea that sounded good at the moment, but then when you execute it and you watch it back, not so much. The more I rewatch Scream 4 over and over again, almost the cheesier the opening gets. For me, Scream 4 opening goes to the bottom of the list. Now we're gonna move right along, and in 5th place, coincidentally enough, is Scream 5, or what some people may call Scream 2022. I just stick with Scream 5. It's not that the opening was bad, it just necessarily wasn't anything that stood out to me that was so amazing that I could rank it any higher. Now I will say one thing that I really did love about the Scream 5 opening was the actual fight scene choreography, like the attack scene. The attack was freaking brutal, so I love that aspect of it. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's Scream 5, so the die-hard fans love everything about the franchise, and then when we're introduced to Tara, she's kind of just like, I've seen Stab before, I could take it or leave it. It's like, girl, excuse me, the disrespect. So it could be that. It's a solid opening. It's a very solid opening. The conversation in itself between Tara and Ghostface, it just didn't pull me in enough. Now we're gonna move along. In 4th place, we have Scream 6. Scream 6 actually did something that I really loved, which was the fake out killer reveal. Like, I love that element. That was a way to not only do something new, but it was actually intriguing. Like, it actually added something to the suspense of the scene, because I feel like a lot of us, once we saw who the killer was in that moment, a lot of us thought that the rest of the movie was going to be from the perspective of the killer, and so that kind of got me and a lot of other people excited, because that was like, wow, what a way to bring a fresh new element to the franchise, of us having seen the killer but nobody else in the movie knows who the killer was. So at first I thought that that's where it was gonna go, but then it faked us out yet again. Also, like the fact that it kind of added to the intensity of the real Ghostface, because it felt like there was like this big boss Ghostface that had these little minion Ghostface people doing his bidding and all of that stuff like that, like a network of Ghostface killers or something. So that was very intriguing to me. Now, although I think the first half of the opening, Samara Weaving's character, her death, I feel could have been different, but that's for a different video. But I still feel like they made up where Scream 4 lacked, in that if you're gonna do like some kind of fake out in the beginning, then everything that comes after the fake out has to really be good. And so I feel like Scream 4's opening fell short in that area, but I think Scream 6's opening made up because once we saw who the killer was, not only was that shocking, but then to find out that he was already friends with Tara, that was another level of shock. Then on top of that, to find out that he was actually working with a different Ghostface. I'll admit, I have a lot of problems with Scream 6 overall as a movie. However, I think that opening, they did good with that. I'm not gonna lie, I have to give credit where credit is due, all right? In third place for me is Scream 3's opening. Now, I know I might get a lot of flack for this because for some reason, everybody seems to hate Scream 3, but I actually like the movie overall, and I really love the opening of the movie. Scream 1 and Scream 2 is such a great story together, but I feel like Scream 3 continues the story in such a great way. But what I really liked is the fact that the story almost writes itself, because at the end of Scream 2, you're seeing that Cotton is pretty much taking the credit for saving the day, and everybody wants to interview Cotton. So it almost feels natural that because of his in a way, his success after that, it kind of makes sense that he would end up with his own TV show. It doesn't matter what you think about the rest of the movie. Overall, I like the fact that they added that new element with the new voice box where it could do all of these different voices. The fact that it was a female's voice that tricked Cotton, that completely threw me off because I didn't know where that was going at first. And it was just a big shocker that they even brought Cotton back. Not only did they bring him back, they killed him in the opening scene. In second place is Scream 2. Scream 2's opening, the opening for Scream 2 and the opening for the first Scream, the original Scream in 1996, they really could go head to head. The opening for Scream 2 puts you in a safe element. You're at the movie theaters where you're supposed to be safe. You're around all of these people, so surely nothing bad is gonna happen. But again, this is the Scream franchise, so anything can happen and at any moment. And that's what I mean about pulling you in organically. They slowly build the intensity, they slowly build the anxiety, because they start outside talking about movies. Then by the time you realize that, oh shit, they're handing out Ghostface costumes, and they get into the theater, your anxiety starts building, and by the time the opening ends, it's just like, man, you've been on such a ride in a short amount of time. Another element that I really love that they used in the opening of Scream 2 is the fact that they opened with these two black characters talking about the narrative that black people play in horror movies. Then on top of that, having this narrative and then killing these black people off first thing in the movie, it's just like meta goodness, you know what I mean? First place, of course, because we have no more movies left, is the ultimate, the iconic, the original Scream 1996. The first thing I really love about the opening to the original Scream is that you're out in the middle of nowhere practically, so it's literally just Casey and the killer. Even when Steve finally kind of comes into the picture, he's really powerless, right? So all of your attention and all of your focus, there aren't any outside elements to kind of distract you. So it's literally just Casey and the killer, which means that the dialogue has to be that much more amazing to like keep your attention. The scene in itself, the phone conversation that they're having, it just grabs your attention so well, and it takes you through all of these different emotions because first of all, it's a horror movie. So going into any horror movie, you're naturally going to have a small level of anxiety because you don't know what's going to happen. By the time Ghostface starts talking to Casey, in a strange way, you actually start to calm down a little bit because he's not as menacing as I guess you would assume a killer would want to be. And the fact that he can kind of calm your senses down while talking to Casey, but then you start remembering, hold on, you don't even know who this man is, so now your anxiety is going up again. But then Ghostface talks to you a little more, and then you start calming down until the iconic line, I want to know who I'm looking at. And then it kind of snaps you back into this moment of, oh shoot, I really don't know who this man is. And by that time, you've already, in a sense, kind of let him in. I think that the pacing of that entire scene, you have so much time to establish who Casey is, get used to Casey, get used to the killer. Like, there are no distractions in that scene, whereas in Scream 2 you're in this big crowded theater, so you have all of these things going on. In Scream 3 you're on this crowded highway, so you have a lot going on. It's just hands down my favorite opening scene of the franchise, and I think that everybody else shares that sentiment. I think it's going to be everyone's collective favorite opening scene for a long time. Once Scream 7 comes out, I'll be able to reevaluate my ranking list. And there you have it. That's my ranking for all of the opening scenes in the Scream franchise, from my least favorite to my absolute favorite. I hope you horror heads enjoyed this video. I will definitely be back with more ranking videos from the Scream franchise, so please stay tuned. And if you like this video, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. Please go ahead and drop a comment below of what your personal ranking is of the openings from the Scream franchise, and I will see you all on the next video. Peace.